Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and hanging with me a little bit. And guys, today I want to talk about the advantage that using a lure that looks all beat up gives you to catch fish over something that looks like brand new out of the package. You can see the thumbnail in this video is a prime example of what I'm talking about. That's an old wiggle board I had that I've had for years, guys, and it's absolutely trashed out and beat up. It doesn't look anything like it did, when it was new, because it's been beat up on rocks and chewed up by fish so much, but it catches fish better than it ever has. So I want to really dig into that in today's video and sort of give you guys some tips and advice on how to make your lures look beat up without actually fishing them to get beat up, to get pretty much the same result of that. So we're going to get into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, a couple quick things here. Just like to invite everybody, you guys have heard me talking about it, the Tackle Warehouse has got that big spring, get ready for spring fishing sale going on. 25% off on a bunch of stuff on the website there. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video. If you guys would like to take advantage of that sale there, using that link of mine is a good way to support the channel if you use it. And also, guys, Solar Bat Sunglasses has got another get ready for spring sale on my Signature Series sunglasses, so I'll have all those links in the description of my video if you guys would like to take advantage of that. Really appreciate that. Okay, one of the things that I've noticed in bass fishing is that when I get a lure when I have it for a while, the lure gets beat up and scratched up and sort of rough looking, it seems like it always produces more fish. Especially if I've been catching some fish on it when it's new. It's like the more beat up that it gets, the more bass it catches. It doesn't matter what the bait is. I mean, anything. I remember back in, God, this was probably the early 1990s, is I had a jig that, it was one of those jigs I'd been catching a bunch of fish on. It's just a black jig, black half-ounce flipping jig. And guys, I had used this jig so much that there was no paint left on the head whatsoever. In fact, not only that the paint had chipped off the head, but the jig had been used so much and it was so old that the chipped off lead, where it was just bare lead, it was like so dull, it looked almost like paint, and it had a bunch of big gouges in it and stuff. The weed guard was sort of bent up a little bit. The hook, I'd actually straightened the hook out a little bit and bent it back in there. And then a lot of the strands on the jigs were all crazy looking and old looking. But anyway, guys, I caught so many fish on that jig that I just couldn't get rid of it. It's almost like the more beat up that it got looking, the more fish I caught on it. And I have seen the same thing with crankbaits, with jerkbaits, especially jerkbaits and crankbaits, that when they get all scratched up and beat up, they just catch more fish. I'll give you two examples here. There's been two Megabass lures that I've had. One was a Megabass Flap Slap, and the other was just a Megabass Vision 110. And both of these baits, I had used them for so long and caught so many fish on them that literally probably 50 to 75% of the paint was gone off the baits. And all it was the clear plastic. And there was a little bit of color on it. Maybe, like I said, half the bait had paint on it, half the bait didn't have paint on it. And guys, those baits caught so many fish being all just nasty and chewed up looking. Okay, now there's two different things that I think that why this is. Number one is, if you use a bait for a long time and it catches fish, a lot of the reason that you're catching fish on that bait is sometimes it just runs different or runs better out of the package, or something about it in the manufacturing process that it just runs better. And you know what I'm talking about. Once in a while, not so much now because the quality is so much better on the hard baits, but back 20 years ago, when you got a jerkbait or crankbait, a lot of times it would run crooked right out of the package, and you'd have to adjust it and you'd have to tune it. And a lot of times you couldn't even tune the things. They were like something was wrong with them. They'd run crooked no matter what you did. But once in a while, you would get one that ran perfect out of the box, and the action was perfect on it, and the fish reacted to that. And those are pretty much crankbaits and jerkbaits fall into those two categories. Once in a while, you'll just get one that runs really good, and there's something about how it pushes water and the vibration and the action, how it darts, how it deflects off a cover. There's something about the manufacturing process that is very appealing to fish. So that's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect is the fact that when the lure is all beat up and chewed up, there's two factors that go with that. Number one, I think it makes the lure look like it's more of a wounded minnow. It doesn't look perfect. Looks like something's wrong with it. It's been attacked. Maybe it's a little bit weaker, and the bass go for it. And the other one with that is the coloration that happens when you have a scratched up bait. You create a color that is not available in the retail market. So if you figure like some of the mainstream colors are like sexy shad, blackback chartreuse side, different type of crawdad patterns, those are the ones that you see in the big box retailers all the time, and those are the baits that get thrown a lot. Those are the ones the fish see. So when they see, say for example, if you buy a sexy shad crankbait and then you fish it for a year and it's beat up and it's knocked up and it's missing half the paint on it, it doesn't look like a sexy shad crankbait off of the rack anymore. It looks like something the fish have never seen before. So that's another reason they bite it. So there's several factors. The fact that a beat up lure makes the lure look wounded, the color's different on it, and sometimes the action of the bait's different. So one of the things you can do, aside from fishing the bait forever, is you can create a beat up looking wounded crankbait on your own, just with some simple modifications. One of the first things that I do with it is I get one of those kitchen Brillo pads, not like the steel Brillo pads, but you know, the kitchen scrubbers that you can get. I've actually done some videos on this before, and knock the shine off your bait. It's like every bait has some type of a clear coat on it, and even on like a flat finish crankbait or something, that clear coat finish gives it sort of a finished glossy look. And if you take that pot scrubber and knock that, you know, shine off of there, that'll help a lot. The other things you can do with it is take a file or a knife and just nick up the lure with it. Like I'll take a flat file and I'll put that flat file on the edge where it sort of makes a gouge in the lure, and I'll go all around the lure and, you know, just put gouge marks in it. Sometimes I take a knife and I scrape little parts of the paint off of it, make it look like it's just beat up. Sometimes I'll get out, you know, in the driveway and cast a jerkbait or a crankbait 100 times and let it hit the asphalt out there to sort of get some natural type of a wounded look to it. So there's some things you can do to accentuate that, but a lot of times if you do that and you don't have that combination of the bait running just right, it's not going to be quite as effective. But I usually always do that, guys. I do not just fish any bait right out of the box. I always either knock that finish off of it with the Brillo pad, or I nick it up a little bit. I do some type of a modification to make it look different from what you get off the rack. Because you got to realize, guys, if you buy a bait at any tackle store in the country, a lot of the baits that are in tackle stores across the country are the best sellers. So if you're a tackle store owner, I don't care if you work for Bass Pro or whatever, and you buy tackle, you're going to be buying the most popular lures at the time, and that's what everybody else is buying. So in essence, when you get on these public bodies of water, everybody is basically fishing the same color patterns for the most part, or at least 90% of the people are, and the fish get conditioned to that real quick. So that's how scraping up these lures and getting them all nasty looking will definitely help you catch more fish. So anyway, guys, give it a try. It's worked for me. I think it'll work for you guys, and we'll talk later.